Hello and welcome, fellow digital soldiers, to True Reporting. It's the 22nd of July, and on today's podcast, we have a very special guest with us today. It's Colin, and he is the president of Noble Gold. Colin, welcome to True Reporting. It's an honor, my friend.
Thank you. Excited to be here. I've been, obviously watching the show for a long time, and just happy to be on today.
Excellent, man. So we're here to discuss gold, silver. It's climbing. What are your thoughts? Where's it going to go? What should people do? People are panicking right now. Let's be honest, and they want another an alternative of where they need to lead. And hopefully, you have some good advice for them.
Yeah, it's an interesting time. You know, the thing that I would say that I always look at is, like, you look at the economy and then you look at the stock market. And I think that a lot of times people think they're always connected, but right now, obviously they're not connected because we have, huge unemployment, 12, 15%, depending on what you believe. And then you still have the stock market equities are still pretty high up there, relatively speaking. And you look at a lot of the fundamentals, the Price-Shiller Index is a really good one for people to look at. And you look at where we are today compared to, like, the Great Depression, and the numbers are pretty similar, but we haven't seen that pullback yet. So I think the interesting thing to look at is that the economy and the stock market are always not directly connected, at least initially. I still think with all the stimulus, they've been able to prop up the equity markets, but it'll be interesting to see what happens. I know they're talking about doing another stimulus at the end of the month, which I think they will do because obviously Congress goes on vacation August 2nd. So they got to get that stimulus in at the end of the month, right before they go on their second vacation of the summer, which is great. Obviously it's nice for them to be able to go on 2 vacations during a crisis. But I think the big thing is that what's going to happen for the rest of this year with the election. Obviously Christmas is not going to be Christmas like we've seen in the past. So there's a lot of things up in the air that have given people a lot of pause when it comes to investments.
What do you say to these families, these small-time business owners who have worked 25, 30 years? I've seen people in Boston give interviews. They're in tears. They've lost everything. Do these people who want to scrap back into this, should they get into gold? Should they get into investing in something like that just to kind of have a safety net of some kind?
Yeah, I mean, listen, let's be honest. Investing is not for everybody. And there's one of the things I would say right now is and I did a video about this on my YouTube channel. I was just talking about, if you decide to stay in the stock market and you believe that there is going to be a correction, you have to set your mindset up for it. So let's say you're young, let's say you're in their 20s or 30s, and you go, I don't care because I'm not retiring for 30 years. So I'm going to go through the waves, right? I'm going to go through the ups and downs. So mentally, you got 50,000. There's a good chance that 50,000 could be worth 25,000 by the end of the year. Very likely it could happen. We could see a correction. You've already had some pullbacks in your stock market portfolio, but nothing substantial. It hasn't been a dramatic pullback. So I would say if you're going to stay there, be mentally prepared. If you're closer to retirement, then you have to ask yourself, can I withstand this pullback if it lasts for a long time? If I see that dramatic, how long can I go without selling those funds or the equities? How long can I stay in it? And those are the questions that people have to ask themselves. Now, gold right now it's been performing very well. From a year ago to today, it's up almost 30%. And then obviously the thing
is that unheard of?
A 30% gain. The last time we saw that kind of gain was the last bull market in gold, which was from 2001 to 2011. That's the last time you kind of saw those kind of annual gains. Typically, when you're going on a bull run in the metals market, you're going to see a 5 or 6 year run. We're really in the first year and a half of our run in gold. So we're really at the beginning of that. And I think the overwhelming consensus is that the world believes that we have this very loose monetary policy, that we're just throwing money at our problems, and people don't trust our currency. And that's why people are looking at gold and silver as a great place to invest. And a lot of people, when they think about gold, they say, oh, you don't get a return on it. It doesn't pay a dividend. But, a 30% gain over a year, who cares about a dividend? It's irrelevant when most major companies are cutting their dividends right now, or they're paying 1% to 2%, which obviously is not going to keep up with inflation. So I think the big picture is, is gold or silver a good transition for someone right now? And that's really a personal question, but what we do is give people a lot of education on how to do it, whether they're doing it in an IRA, which we do, or outside of an IRA, which we can do. And either way, it's physical gold. We don't do a fund. There's no paper. There's no leverage. It's gold and silver. It's the simplest form of what everybody typically wants to buy.
So if someone knows nothing about this, what are the steps to go in and investing and trusting in this to go ahead and do it, to be like, I'm going to take the plunge, I'm going to invest in gold and silver, because I think the time is now. I think we're getting away from this paper money. I think we're going to a gold standard. I don't know how you feel about that, but I think something is changing in the near future. So for somebody who doesn't know anything about this, what are some of the steps to say, I'm going to take this dive and I'm going to make this investment?
Well, it comes down to where your money is. Are you looking to put some money in an IRA or like an a lot of people have old 401ks right now because they were laid off, or they left the company. So that money can get rolled into an IRA, which there's a lot of benefits of doing it within an IRA because there's tax advantages, right? So there's benefits of doing it that way. Or maybe someone just has some money in cash. They want to get it out of the bank because they don't like the return of the bank. I mean, to give you an idea, just returns of the banks, just kind of think about the math. So let's say in the 1980s, they were paying 12 to 14% on savings accounts and CDs. Today, they're paying, a quarter of a percent. If you go back and you wanted to make 12% on the same money today, it would take you almost 20 years to get that same return that you got in 1 year in the early 1980s. So that, just to give you that, and when people realize that, when they think about that, it just comes into question. It's not like the inflation in the 80s was much higher than it is today. The way I look at it, inflation is equally as high. Yet the money in the bank pays nothing because the banks have realized that we as consumers have accepted it. We've accepted taking a quarter of a percent in a bank. And once they knew that they could sort of put that over on us, in my opinion, it's never going back, and it never will go back.
So as the president of Noble Gold, where do you see this going within these next 4 years? Obviously, and in my beliefs, I believe Trump's going to win by a landslide. Where do you see it going?
Yeah, I mean, obviously the election is going to play into where the stock market goes in the short term. I think that big institutions are predicting gold to break 2,000. I think that's an easy number for gold to hit. Bank of America, which is really interesting, a month and a half ago said that gold's going to hit $3,000 an ounce in the next 18 months. And people thought that was a bold claim for a bank because really, if you think about it, a lot of banks don't have a lot of interest in pushing gold. But what a lot of people don't know is that actually gold became a tier 1 asset for banks about 2 years ago, which basically means banks like in the US can actually buy gold and borrow against the money they have in gold, where before that they were never able to do that. So it was never an asset that they wanted. So in some ways, Bank of America does have an incentive to say gold is a good asset because I think they've been buying it, quietly acquiring some physical gold. I think today for a first, and I think your question is, I sort of went over it, but first time investor, like how do they do it? I think the first thing is you have to get education from companies like us or other companies out there and start to learn about gold and silver and how to get it. And there's multiple ways you can buy it. You can buy it in the physical form, which was what we do. You can buy an ETF, which is sort of, you're buying a fraction, you're buying a company that has a fraction of gold, or you can buy, mining stocks, or you can buy like a gold stock. So the last two ways, you're sort of buying a share or an equity of a company that says they have gold. And, I don't think it's really the safest way to do it because you're not really owning it yourself. You're buying a promise that they're buying enough gold, which I don't think is what most people want to do. So, but there are people that want to do that. Some people want to day trade gold every day. And if they want to day trade it, that's a great way to do it. It's a very easy way to trade gold. Now, if you don't want to day trade it and you want it and you want to know what you're buying is yours, then you want the physical. Then you have to ask yourself, okay, there's 10,000 different coins out there and bars. Which ones do I want? Well, what we did at Noble Gold is we've streamlined. If you go to our website, you're not going to see 10,000 products. You're going to see maybe 25 different products because we've streamlined it down to the products that are the most commonly bought and sold, so that someone first time coming in doesn't have to sort of guess about some old coin that they don't really know or understand. They can focus on the bullion coins and bars that are basically liquid and people are buying and selling every day. And I think doing that, making it simpler for people, people enjoyed that. They wanted that streamlined process. And these are the products that the central banks are buying. These are the same coins and bars that the big institutions are buying. So I think what we've done is just kind of narrowed it down the focus to make it easier. And then ultimately, deciding if it's gold or silver, a coin or a bar, those choices are pretty simple. Once you've talked to one of our representatives, they can tell you kind of the pros and cons of all the different items.
Yeah, I mean, you guys, Noble Gold, I've been doing this for 2 years. You guys have been with me for a year. And I'm telling you guys, they send me stuff to promote on here. It's real. It's something that you need to get your hands on, because who knows what the future holds. It's nice to have that bullion bar in your hand and just to keep away, and maybe buy a couple of them throughout the month or from month to month. Do what you need to do. Man, you look like a young guy. When did you create this business? This is awesome. I'm glad you're here.
Well, it's funny you said I think I wanted to get you the first year too, but we couldn't connect that first year.
It's okay.
With you.
Yeah, it's okay.
But I'm glad we finally did.
Yeah.
I was for a lot of years doing commercial real estate before I got into gold, and always collected silver. My father collected silver. My grandfather collected silver. So I had some experience with it. Had some health issues. I had to kind of transition out of commercial real estate, and had a friend that worked at a gold company and sort of said, "Hey, this would be a good place and be easy," because I had 2 or 3 years of some surgeries, and so I was in and out of the hospital a lot in recovery. And I think month 2 or 3, it just it was like clicked. It was like, this is sort of what I was meant to do my whole life, and really connected with people, because I think in our industry people overcomplicate it for a lot of reasons.
Yeah.
And I won't go into those, but basically I wanted to sort of give people information in a way that they could digest, and also simplify it, and really just focus on the customer service aspect. Because really at the end of the day, that's what we do. We're helping people. And that's what I've, kind of groomed our company as, is like, we respond, we take phone calls. We're based in the United States. We're a company that we're available to people to answer questions. And with everything going online, we're sort of going the opposite way. And we're available for phone calls, and people get a representative to help them with paperwork or learn about the coin. So we're sort of old school in that way, that we want people to call us, and we want to talk to people. And I think it's, from there it's sort of just grown. And then, working with people like you and getting kind of the good word out. And I was mentioning before we went on that I've always, even, back through college, was such a big believer in the First Amendment. And I think that's why I think our partnerships have worked, is because I'm a supporter of what you guys do. I like getting information from not the major sources. I like getting information from a lot of different sources and then making my own determination. And I think that's what you do on your show.
Absolutely. You have to use your own discernment. A lot of people are saying that these podcast channels, these YouTube channels, we are the news now, because nobody wants to watch MSM anymore. They come to us. We do the research, and we decode all this stuff and break it down, and people certainly gravitate towards it. And yeah, I mean, you guys have treated me great. I'm just glad you're here, man. It seems like you're, a lot of people, when they come onto this channel, I send them to you. You guys give great discounts. You guys have a call-in center. If anybody has questions, you're right there. People love that old school, connection, because that's scarce. It's scarce nowadays. And I think it's a great part of the company that you run, my man. I seriously mean that.
And we love what we do. And actually, last week, there was a few new employees that do some different paperwork, different things. And they mentioned, like, they had heard we were doing a promotion on some Silver Eagle coins, like the Monster Box. You can get the box from the U.S. Mint that's sealed. we're getting a lot of calls, and a few of them didn't know what it was. These were people that, not representatives, new people working for us.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, wait a minute, you don't know. So I sent everybody a Silver Eagle, everybody that works for us. I mailed it to their house. So they had, some of them had been buying coins for years, and it was just, they added it to the collection. But
right.
It was really fun when a lot of them got it, because it started to resonate, what was happening and what they were receiving. And a lot of them have been watching the videos, especially about, silver is so undervalued when you look at the uses. like, everybody's talking about Tesla, and they're talking about Elon Musk and how he surpassed Warren Buffett in terms of net worth. But when you get into that too, like what's in these cars? Like, how are these cars running? It's silver. That's, silver is in these cars. And so it's like, everything's going EV. They're saying 50% of cars are going to be EV in the next 10 years, and they're going to use silver. It's like, everything that we're talking about with our company right now is in the news in terms of industry. Everyone's trying to reduce costs, reduce overhead. Everything's going, electric, and they're using silver for those things, or solar, or any of those things. So it's just an interesting time that our company was sort of old school. And then the things that we've been talking about silver for all these years. And finally we're starting to see that kind of bull run that we've been anticipating for a while. So it's been fun.
That's awesome, man. And it's, the link is in the description box below, guys. They give great discounts. You can call them, speak to a person one-on-one. You can't beat that. Let's be honest, friends. You can't beat that. Colin, it's great to have you here. Do you have any closing words or anything to plug?
We have that promotion, the 5-ounce America the Beautiful coin going on this month. So if you start an IRA this month, qualified IRA, you're going to get that coin for free. I love that coin. It's selling on the US Mint website for $150 to $175, depending on the type of the coin. So you're going to get that for free if you start an IRA. But definitely mention that you heard us on this channel and you saw this, because that obviously helps everybody understand what's going on out there. And we'll continue to support your show and just really love what you're doing, and just keep up the good fight. And obviously, I know there's a lot of censorship things happening out there, but we'll just keep pushing forward. And I know at the end that the truth will come out, and we'll be good and when all this thing sort of settles here.
Absolutely, he's on our side, guys. I can tell you that for sure. Colin, it's been a pleasure, my friend. I really thank you for supporting True Reporting. I thank you for sponsoring this channel. It really does. It pays the bills. And it just seems like it's such a great company, and you're a great guy. So thank you so much for spending some time with us today. I appreciate that.
Thank you. Looking forward to talking to you again soon. Thanks.
Absolutely. Guys, if you found this informative and you enjoyed it, please go ahead and subscribe. You can follow me on Twitter @TrueReporting. And don't forget to leave a like. Remember, it's always an honor for me to be on the front lines with each and every one of you, because in the end, where we go one, we go all. Guys, if you found what you just watched informative and you enjoyed it, then please subscribe to the True Reporting family today. There are many ways to support this channel, like our Patreon link, our PayPal link, and our TrueReporting.us official website link in the description box below. Join the True Reporting family today and be a part of history, because where we go one, we go all.